Hi, welcome to Petradot. And in this lesson, we are going to be discussing pure functions and side effects. A pure function is a function that has no side effect and its output is the same for the same input, right? So it does not change any value or state outside its own scope. Let's say, for example, I have a function that is meant to sum two numbers. Let's create a function, for example. Let me use that to explain it. Public static void or add, just add, we have int a, comma, int b. And here we do return a plus b, right? So looking at this function now, it does not change any variable outside here. When we mean the scope, look at the scope here. The scope is from this opening bracket to the closing braces, right? This is the way the scope is. So just like we said, a pure function does not change any value or state outside its own scope. Imagine that we have a variable here, say int num equals to 0. Now, this num we declared here now is not in the scope of this method, this function, right? So, as far as it doesn't modify any variable at all outside here, all it does is the input you pass to it will always remain the same. If this is the same input you keep passing, the output will become the same, right? So, if for example, A was 5 and B was 5, that means A plus B will be 10. And as far as you pass the same 5 and 5 again, it will still return 10. Hence why we say its output is the same for the same input. So it does not change any value or state outside its scope, and it doesn't depend on any value outside its own scope, right? It only depends on the input passed to it and does not produce side effects like updating a variable outside its own scope. So that is what we know of what a pure function is. And the good thing about a pure function is that it is easy to maintain. Yes, if you have any bug, to fix it is very simple, right? And to run a test on it is always very easy because it doesn't have any concern with any variable or data outside its scope. Everything it is doing is always within this scope and does not modify the outside of it, right? Then why a side effect is a function that modifies the outside context of its scope, right? So, for example, let's create a method that will increment num, public static void increment num. Now we did num static, and let's make this in static num plus plus. You see, this function now is modifying a variable outside its scope. And which way is that variable? That variable is up here. So this variable is not within this scope. But within this increment num, we are modifying a variable. So this is an example of a side effect. Why this is a pure function, right? So let me take this documentation above this. Why this is for this, right? So to recap again, a pure function is a function that has no side effect. That is a simple definition. And its output is the same for the same input. Whereas a side effect is a function that modifies the outside context of its scope. And that is the difference between a pure function and a side effect. This will mark the end of this lesson. If you have any question, do well to drop it on the comment section and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.